Hey there, today I'm making these sourdough discard chocolate raspberry fudge cookies. For the recipe and more information, head over to my blog craftepicurean.com, and of course, if you like what you see in this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. The first step in the recipe is to measure out 180 grams of butter. This is salted butter I'm using. You can use unsalted if you wish. Just going to pop that over on the stove and heat it on a medium-low heat until it caramelizes. In a bowl, in the meantime, I'm adding 150 grams of soft brown sugar, and I'll set that aside for use later. In another bowl, I have 400 grams of flour. I'm using organic stone ground white flour here, and I'm putting 4 tablespoons of cocoa, which I'm going to sift into the flour, like so. Now, I always have this issue with the lumps, and I just use a silicone spatula and push it through a sieve. If you've got a sifter, by all means use that as well. Feel free to use that. To my sifter, or to my sieve, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm just measuring it using a standard 1 teaspoon or 5ml teaspoon, and I'm leveling it off with the back of a steak knife here, which I know is flat. Now my baking soda is a little bit lumpy, so you see I've had to remeasure that twice to make it accurate. And then I am going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So again, this is a level teaspoon, 5ml teaspoon. Just going to scoop that, and again use the back of a knife or a flat surface, flat edge, to level it off. So I've added that to my sieve, which I'm then going to sift through and add to the flour and cocoa mixture. I'm also adding 1 teaspoon of salt. This is just standard iodized salt, but feel free to use fine Himalayan pink salt. I often use that too. I've just recently run out, so I'm not using that today. And again, I'm just going to quickly push that through the sieve with my silicone spatula. Just get through all those lumps, mainly from my baking soda. And put my sieve aside in the sink. And then I'm just going to quickly carefully fold and mix through the dry ingredients so that they're well incorporated. Right, I'm going to put that aside, and now I'm going to measure the next ingredient, which is 200 grams of sourdough starter discard. So this sourdough has been bubbling away for about 4 hours at least, and then I've already refed it, or taken some out, 50 grams in fact, taken some out, put it into another container and refed it, and this here is the discard from that. So usually you would throw it away, or I would usually maybe make some sourdough pizza bases, which I'll put a link to up in the top right hand corner, or some sourdough crackers, just to use up that discard so I'm not wasting flour. So while I was measuring all those ingredients out, I've gone over on the stove. I've been slowly heating my butter up, and it's now got to what they call a burnt butter stage. So you can see how the butter was yellow, and now it's a nice caramelized brown colour. So I just pour that over the soft brown sugar in my bowl. Now some people like to remove the froth. I'm not too fast. I just add it into the recipe. I find it easier, and it's one less step I have to do. Then I grab a whisk and whisk slowly initially to incorporate the butter and the sugar, and then I get a little bit more frivolous to mix it through. So once it's well combined, I'm then going to add 2 eggs to the mixture. These are size 6 eggs, or 60 grams of eggs that I'm adding, and I just whisk that through into the butter sugar mixture. You want to work quickly here because remember the butter is quite warm and heated, and you don't want to cook veggies, but you incorporate it into the mixture. Next step is to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. I'm using pure vanilla essence extract here, and then you add the 200 grams of sourdough starter. So with the vanilla essence, feel free to use imitation vanilla extract or vanilla bean paste if you wish. Then we're going to mix that through and just whisk it through until it again is very well incorporated. Now I love this little whisk that I'm using here. It's got, the ends aren't actually connected, and it lets all the mixture flow through and doesn't get stuck inside the whisk bowl. Now I'm adding those dry ingredients that we mixed together before. I'm just going to add them all in, and now I'm going to swap over and use my silicone spatula to fold in those ingredients. As you can see, all that mixture just pours out of my whisk because the ends are connected, and I love that whisk. Right, so now I'm going to just slowly fold and incorporate that mixture in. Because of the baking soda and baking powder in the mixture, you do want to just mix it until it is just combined. Over mixing will cause these biscuits to deflate. So once you get it just mixed through, put some cling film or plastic wrap over the top and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes. So here it is, back out of the fridge. It's nice and well rested, nicely refrigerated, and I'm going to add 1 cup of frozen raspberries. Yes, and I'm putting on a glove here because I had a few plasters on and I didn't want them to accidentally be added to the mixture. And this is where it gets a little bit messy. You want to work as quick as you can before the raspberry disintegrate and melt on you, and just incorporate and knead in those raspberries into the mixture. You see I'm just lifting it and then pushing it through. I bring in a baking tray lined with non-stick baking paper. Now I'm just going to grab little balls of mixture and press them together, making sure that each biscuit ball has a good amount of raspberries in them. And I soon find out that these raspberries are melting very quickly in my hand, so I quickly pop on another glove onto my left hand because I didn't want stained hands, and it was easier to work with using gloves. So I just make them into rounds, flatten them and place them on the tray. So this mixture makes about 20 cookies. I'm only showing you probably about 15 that I make on this one tray, that I fit on this tray. And then we put them in the oven at 180 degrees for about 15 minutes. And when they're cooked and delicious looking out of the oven after that 15 minutes, they look like this. Oh, their deliciousness. Now they're not the prettiest looking biscuits you'll ever make, but they are definitely delicious, and they have a lovely soft fudgy texture. Now straight out of the oven, I'm placing them onto a cooling rack to cool down. They are a little bit fragile because of their fudginess, but they are so delicious and very addictive. Now I'm going to put a link in the top right hand corner for some other sourdough discard recipes, mainly my chocolate chip sourdough, my sourdough chocolate chip recipe, which forms the basis of this recipe as well. But anyway, that's basically how I made these sourdough discard chocolate raspberry cookies or biscuits. For more information, head over to my blog, craftepicurean.com, and thank you for watching.